From dating for a few months and being engaged for a few days to getting married and having a baby within a year. Amy Schumer and her husband Chris Fischer have shown that every relationship moves at its own pace, and when you know, you know. Schumer has been pretty open about it from the start, broaching everything from their whirlwind romance to his autism, and to the hilarious mishap with their boy's name. They showcase their deep appreciation for one another as partners and as parents. She needs little introduction. The actress and comedian had the world in stitches from her first show. Her self-deprecating humor brought her success on stage and on screen. Her raunchy comedy had a lot of people shocked when they first saw it, but realized that the raunchy comments were what everyone was thinking. In her shows, Amy always poked fun at how she was still single and hasn't found someone to love, and the reason it bothered her was because she was in her mid-30s.
For women, I don't think it really helps, and guys are like, I love a funny girl, and they're lying. Like, they love to hang with a funny girl, but they're not like, oh, I can't wait to hit that.
Imagine that, when she was 35, the comedian finally found her lucky break in love when she met her husband, Chris Fischer. The story goes that in 2017, Amy Schumer's husband came back from Europe and other travels after working on his culinary chops, as he is a professional chef. He took a chef gig in Martha's Vineyard, and the decision to return home led him to meeting his very famous wife. Schumer was traveling to the vineyard with her assistant Molly Fischer, who was Chris's sister. Molly suggested that Chris visit Amy's vacation home and cook for them. Amy was extremely awkward and non-flirty during their first meeting and said in an interview, "I went really out of my way to make sure he knew I wasn't flirting with him. You know, I'd be like, oh, I haven't shat in 3 days. Just really hitting him with the hotness." At the time, she was pushing away the idea of romance because of her recent breakup, but it didn't exactly work out. The pair formed a platonic bond, but a little while later, when Schumer asked Fischer to help cater a dinner for her good friend Rachel Feinstein's 40th birthday, a spark ignited between them. It just felt like we were hosting this party together. He was cooking, and we wanted everyone to have a good time. And I was like, uh-oh, I got that feeling where all the blood goes to all the places. We were looking at each other a little bit longer, and I just changed. They asked Molly, Amy's assistant and Chris's sister, to give her stamp of approval. Amy joked that Molly might have been afraid for her job, so she said she was cool with it, and the rest is history.
We met and like totally fell in love, and it's been really good. And it became viral internet like news. And I think
saw you everywhere.
Right? It's because I think he's really cute, and I think people were like, what? Like dating, he has all his teeth? Like people were shocked.
They were only dating for a few months, and it confirmed their relationship 4 days before, when Fischer proposed to the actress. His straightforward way of thinking influenced how he proposed. Amy was already asleep in bed with her earplugs in and a night mask over her eyes when Chris nudged her awake to ask her to marry him. Only he didn't exactly ask in a traditional way because he just showed her the ring and said, "I got you this." She said in an interview, "Ever the gentleman. However, he did ask whether I wanted him to get down on one knee. I obviously said yes to the ring." Their tornado speed romance didn't slow down there. They dated for a couple of months before getting engaged, so it only seemed fitting that they stayed engaged for a couple of days before getting married. But like responsible grown-ups, they did discuss the important things like Amy's net worth and a prenup in those couple days before the wedding.
No, I'm really happy. Yeah, because I was not gonna settle, so I was like, yeah, I'll die alone, that sounds fine. But then I met this dude.
Even though they didn't wind up having Adele marry them as planned, their wedding was meaningful and fun and a little bit crazy, just like their relationship. Not long after confirming they were dating, 7 days to be exact, they announced they were married.
He is a chef. What a good idea to marry a chef. Like, let me just, right? Smart. I'm sorry, it's the best.
In February 2018, they had a weekday ceremony overlooking the coast of the Pacific at a private residence in Malibu. A number of Schumer's A-list pals were among the 80 people who witnessed the wedding, including celebrities like Jennifer Lawrence, Chelsea Handler, Jennifer Aniston, Larry David, Judd Apatow, David Spade, and more. The couple's 2 fluffy pups also took part in the ceremony, scrambling down the aisle at one point. Their wedding showed that they planned it in a couple of days as they walked down the aisle to the song Rainbow Connection from the Muppet movie. She even admitted she sent a text to family and friends saying, "I'm getting married on Tuesday. I hope you can come."
Amy kept telling everybody she was getting married.
Everybody who would listen, the caterers, the valets.
If she really thought you were kidding.
I know you thought I was kidding.
Yeah, but then you texted and said, I really am getting married, and but I was doing a show, I would have gone.
No, everyone has an excuse.
But that sounds like the perfect wedding because it reflects their quirkiness and humor, right? The lightning speed continued because 8 months after the wedding, the comedian announced she was pregnant with her first child. In typical Amy fashion, she teased the exciting news next to a photo of her and Fisher's faces photoshopped onto Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's bodies because they also announced they were expecting their first child around the same time. In May 2019, the couple welcomed their son Gene Attell Fisher. The baby boy's middle name was a tribute to her close friend, comedian Dave Attell. But less than 1 year after the birth, the couple announced they were changing their baby's middle name to David for a pretty hilarious and on-brand reason. It was thanks to their friends, family, and the internet that they realized their first of many parenting failures. She admitted she didn't make this connection until a month in because they were new parents. They were excited and tired, so they missed it. She spoke about why they had no choice but to change his middle name in an interview and said, "Do you guys know that Gene, our baby's name, is officially changed? It's now Gene David Fisher."
You know, a month in, I realized that I'd named my son Janital Fisher.
Yeah. Took a full month.
Gene Attell Fisher, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it in. Take all the time you need.
It is a hard thing.
Let it wash over you like it did me.
The couple chose David as a middle name because it was her father's middle name and she can still honor her comedian friend Attell as it's his first name. Schumer posted a tribute to her husband and son on their baby's first birthday, saying how emotional she felt that morning thinking about her husband. She recalled the tremendous ordeal of having to go through a 3-hour C-section and thanked her husband for his support, saying, "He held my hand and stared in my eyes so I never felt alone. I feel loved and supported always. He takes care of our family and is a husband and father beyond my wildest dreams." That's what we love about Amy. Even though everything is usually a joke, she knows when to be real and serious.
And I just kind of found him looking at himself in the mirror, and he just gave himself a thumbs up.
Their whirlwind didn't end there either. In 2019, Chris was diagnosed with autism, but this didn't hinder him or Amy. Instead, it helped them grow closer together. She opened up about the diagnosis in her Netflix special, Growing. She said she knew from the beginning that her husband's brain was a little different to hers, and when he was diagnosed, the signs from early on made a lot of sense. Schumer recalled a story about how when she once fell while out on a walk with Fisher, he just stood there opening and closing his mouth, noting, "Once he was diagnosed, it dawned on me how funny it was, because all of the characteristics that make it clear that he's on the spectrum are all of the reasons that I fell madly in love with him."
When you say my husband, what actually is the feeling that resonates inside?
It's like a calm, it's a peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The comedian also says the fact that he got tested and diagnosed has helped them communicate and support each other better. Overall, it has strengthened their relationship. She has also noted that statistically their son will most likely be diagnosed as well, but if he is anything like his dad, that is wonderful news for her. Along with Chris's diagnosis comes a lot of quirks, and one of Amy's favorites is the fact that he literally cannot lie. She has admitted that this inability of his has its benefits and downsides. She was going live on air in an interview and said to the host, "Chris not being able to lie is a dream, but it's also like a real nightmare."
He's here, and I came out, and I was right before, because I changed outfits. I'm like, "Does this look okay?" And he was like, "Well, it's too late."
The fact that Fisher was diagnosed later in life is something that Schumer highlighted in her documentary, Expecting Amy. She explains that she's heard from people who've watched the doc who said that seeing the story has motivated them to get tested and that it has changed their lives. We want to encourage parents and people to give themselves the gift of information so people can function to the best of their abilities and remove any stigma that comes with autism, Schumer wrote on her post. The comments were filled with support for the family and appreciation for Schumer for drawing attention to the fact that people can get tested for and diagnosed at any age. Sometimes it might seem like romances in Hollywood move fast, but that doesn't mean they aren't meaningful. Even for a larger-than-life person like Amy Schumer, where everything is a joke, she takes her family seriously. This couple's love story shows that when you know who you want to be with, you just know. They also show us that when life gets serious, you can still always see the bright side. We cannot wait to see what this quirky couple have in store for the future. Stay tuned for more.